Hi kids, this is a video explaining how to do the worksheet called Find a Theme in Your Poem. If you think this worksheet is self-explanatory, you don't have to listen to this video. The first part of this sheet says your poem's title in quotes and your poem's author, and everybody's going to fill that out. Then I want you to notice that it's got method 1 in yellow, and then if you scroll down, method 2 also in yellow. So there are two sections to this sheet. You're only going to do one of them. Method 1 is for kids who already know an abstract noun in their poem, an abstract noun that's at the heart of their poem. It's important. And method 2 is for kids who don't even know that. They're not really sure what the abstract nouns are in their poem. Now at this point, if you're a kid who not only do you know an important abstract noun in your poem, you actually feel like you know a whole theme in your poem, you can probably skip this worksheet. But this is going to be the worksheet for those of you who are unsure of a theme in your poem. You may remember in the theme notes that I gave you a two-step method for finding a theme in your poem, but if that was challenging for you, this worksheet will walk you through it. All right, so let's say you're a person who already knows an important abstract noun in your poem. You're going to write it here, and if you're really close to getting it, but you don't know the exact word for it, follow this link and go look at examples of abstract nouns. If for some reason this doesn't open for you, just go to Google and search abstract nouns and then look at images and you'll see pictures of lists. So just let your eyes gently drift over these words, and one of them is going to jump out at you as being, yes, this is at the heart of my poem. Like, yes, my poem is about sympathy. Now that I see it written there, I realize. Or yes, my poem is about grief. All right, so you've got that word. You're going to write it here. Let's say I'm doing Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. I'm going to write determination. Now, you're going to say to yourself, what is the author saying about this word? And actually stop and think about it. How do you know what the author's saying about it? You think about what's happening in the poem. In my poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, there's this person. He is on a road by himself at night, and he stops, and it's dark, and he's gazing at the snowy woods, and he wants to keep staring at them, but then he decides he has to keep going because he has a long way to go before he gets home. So, to me, that decision to keep going is the determination, and I feel like what my author's saying is people can feel determined to get through difficult times even when at first they want to quit. So I'm going to write a sentence that sounds like what I just said, and that's going to be my theme sentence. I think I just now began mine with people, but I could also begin it sometimes. Sometimes people want to quit because times are hard, but then determination gets them through it. Or I could begin, in life, a person can feel sad, but then they make the decision to keep going because of determination. Or I could just say, but then they can feel determined to keep going. Now, in that sentence, I'm changing determination to determined. It's just a different form of the same word. Now, if you're still not sure what to write, like you have the abstract noun, but you don't know how to put it in a sentence, follow this template. So you start with your abstract noun, you pick one of these like can be, or is sometimes, and then something the author is saying about the abstract noun. I need to make that a little smaller, don't I? There we go. So, examples of this would be like love, can, right? Make people do foolish things. Or friendship is sometimes complicated when people disagree. So I could write here determination. I want to say something about how it helps people it's what makes people decide to keep going when they feel sad. So I'll say determination can motivate people to keep going even when life is tough. And bammo, that's my theme sentence. Now I'm going to check it. I'm going to answer yes or no to all of these questions. Is it universal? In other words, would people everywhere relate to it, would apply to everyone. Ancient Rome, future humans on Mars, yes, everybody everywhere can relate to this. Is it an opinion instead of a definition or a fact? Yeah, it's an opinion because not everybody would agree with this. Does it avoid mentioning literal stuff from your poem? Here's what that means. That means, does it leave out details from the poem? Like, does it, in my case, does it leave out horses? Does it leave out snow? Does it leave out the woods? Does it leave out farmhouse? Yeah, it leaves all that stuff out. So yes, yes, yes. Does it sound like something a grandma could say? Yeah, a grandma could say that. A grandma could say, you know, honey, in life I have learned determination can motivate people. Does it use my abstract noun? It sure does. And does my author agree that this is true? I'm going to stop and picture Robert Frost and think about his poem and ask myself, this is just me kind of double checking. Does he believe this? Yeah, he believes this. Is it the core message? Like, is this a poem about how determination? Yes, this is a poem about how determination can motivate people to keep going, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to say yes, yes, yes for all these things. And if the answer to any of those questions is no, I'm going to start over with a different abstract noun. Or I'm going to try method 2, which is the method below. All right, so let's say I don't have an abstract noun at all. Oh, I'm going to delete these because they are in there from the last time I used this as an example. Let's say I don't have an abstract noun. I'm going to use this section. Step 1 says paste a feeling sentence from your third column, also known as the feeling column. Remember we talked about feeling sentences, feeling column? You're going to go over to your note-taking grid, get a feeling sentence and paste it here. Get another feeling sentence, paste it here. Get another feeling sentence, paste it here. Get another feeling sentence, paste it here. If you only have 3 or 4 or 5 feeling sentences about your poem, you won't use all these spaces. But maybe you have 7 feeling sentences from your own poem. If you do, you'll paste them here. Then, once you've pasted all your feeling sentences, for each one, you're going to pull out some abstract nouns. So if my first feeling sentence is, this makes the reader feel sad, what's an abstract noun that I could pull out of that sentence? There isn't actually an abstract noun in it, but sad is an adjective, which is really close to sadness. So I'm going to say that I'm pulling out sadness from that sentence. This should say something like this imagery, right? Shouldn't it? And then let's say my next feeling sentence says something like, this punctuation makes the reader feel thoughtful. Thoughtful, again, is an adjective, but I could pull out of that thoughtfulness. That is a noun. Thoughtfulness. I'm putting the ness part in bold because I want you to notice that that's an easy way to make an adjective and a noun, link to a noun a lot of time. And let's say the next one is, this alliteration gives the reader a sad feeling. Oh, I have sad again. Again, I'll pull out sadness. If you repeat this over and over, you may start to notice that you've got the same abstract nouns coming up 2 or 3 times. You might have already noticed that in your feeling column. That's correct. Like, that's as it should be. Because, as I've said before in class, every single literary device that your author is using to push forward one big idea, or, you know, one handful of related big ideas. So if all of the devices are creating similar feelings, that's on purpose. You're accurately noticing that, right? So you're going to repeat what I just did for every feeling sentence you have, and in the end, you'll have a handful of words here. Maybe in some places you have 2 or 3 words. Maybe this said, the alliteration gives the reader a sad and lonely feeling. Then here you would put sadness, and loneliness, right? Once you've done this and you've got a whole bunch of words here, you're going to pick 1 or 2 abstract nouns that either come up a lot, they come up very often, or they seem to be at the heart of the poem. Well, so let's say I had sadness twice and then I had a couple other words over here, but I think to myself, yeah, sadness is appearing kind of a lot. Also, I feel like, yeah, this is a poem about sadness. I'm gonna write sadness. Now, from this point on, you do the same thing that a person would have done if they did method 1, which is you ask yourself, well, what is your author saying about sadness? And I want you to really stop and think. The way you know what your author is saying about sadness is by looking at what happens in the poem. So if you're asking yourself, like imagine you're interviewing the author and you say to her, what did you want to say to people about sadness when you wrote this poem? Imagine what your author would say back. She would say, well, when I wrote this poem, I just really wanted to tell people that sadness is blank, 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 blank. Whatever goes in those blanks, whatever comes at the end of that sentence, that's what your author wants to say about sadness. And if you're not sure how to put this in a sentence, you've got a template here. Sadness can or can be or is sometimes, then whatever the author's saying is true about it. If it were love, maybe it would be love can make people do foolish things, or friendship is sometimes complicated when people disagree. But you don't have to write it this way. You could also just start it like sometimes, or in life, or people, right? So let's say I come up with my theme sentence is sadness is only temporary. Temporary, wrong. There we go. Now I'm going to check it. Is that universal? Does that apply to all people everywhere? It sure does. Is it an opinion? Yeah, I think some people could argue like sadness never really truly leaves you. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's an opinion. Does it leave out literal things from my poem? Yeah. Does it mention any concrete nouns? Does it mention any events? Anything you can touch? Does it sound like something a grandma would say? Sure. Does it use my abstract noun? It does. Does my author agree that this is true? I'm going to say, yeah. When I think about my author talking about this poem, I imagine her saying, I wrote this poem to express this message. And then also, is this the core message of the piece? Kind of the same question. Did the author write this piece mainly to express this message? And assuming the answer to all of those is yes, you've got a theme sentence. If the answer to any of these is no, go up here and do a different abstract noun from your row. Try thoughtfulness. Or maybe try a word that just appeared one time that seems different from the others. Maybe that one will yield a good sentence. And once you write the sentence, you're like, oh yeah, that is at the heart of my poem, now that I think about it. So a lot of you already have an idea of what a message of your poem is, but it's possible that after doing this worksheet, you'll suddenly realize the message of your poem that you didn't even know existed. And that's fine too, right? Be open to that. And I think that's it.